welcome to RC Fun and Games. I am Ryan, and today we're going to be installing and testing this awesome little mini brushless system from Hobbywing. So I picked up the Outrunner 1621 motor and the Mini24 ESC so we can stick it in the Traxxas TRX4M K10 and see how it performs and of course what it takes to get it installed. And to go with this motor I picked up one of the 11T pinion gears from Injora, so this is a good place to pick them up if you're looking for one. And of course I also grabbed one of the program cards just in case we need to set the parameters on this system. So let's get in the garage and let's see exactly what it takes to get this installed. Okay, so now that we're in the garage, I'm quickly gonna get the body off, I'm gonna get the interior out, and I'm gonna get the transmission out. I'll be right back once we've got the transmission out of the truck. Okay, so now that I've got the transmission apart, let's get the drive shafts off, let's get it open so we can get the new motor installed. Okay, so now let's get this thing open. I'm just going to push down on this gear so all the gears stay inside the transmission. And as we can see, still looks like the day I closed it up. Looks good, still got plenty of grease on there. Might throw a little bit extra once we fit the motor. Didn't mention this yet, but we are using the 180 transmission. As you can see, that's what we'll be using to fit the Hobbywing 1621 motor. So let's get these out. Okay, now we just got to get these two out in here. Okay, so now we can take that off. Okay, so now let's have a look at this motor. Let's get it out of this box. And as you can see, it comes really nicely packaged in a really nice hard case. So definitely no chance for it to get damaged. Let's get this out. Okay, in the bottom we get some instructions. And of course we get our awesome little Outrunner motor. Just check this little motor out. This thing looks awesome. The finish off on it is amazing and it is very, very nice and smooth. Okay, so let's get the pinion gear installed. And like I mentioned, I went for the 11T. This is the ones for the Fat Viper and for the Purple Viper from Injora. So if you're looking for a pinion gear that fits this motor from Hobbywing, it's a great option. Okay, to put this pinion gear on, you are gonna need a 0.9 Allen wrench. And of course, don't forget a little bit of Loctite. Now make sure you locate the flat side of your shaft. Let's grab our transmission. Okay, once again, I'm just putting a drop of Loctite on these. Now let's just check our motor's still nice and free. Everything seems to be perfect. Just gonna throw a little bit of grease on that pinion gear. Okay, so let's start putting our gears back in. And as we can see, everything moves nice and freely. So let's get our cover on. Okay, so now that we've got it closed up, I can still feel it feels nice and smooth. So now let's get our screws back in. Okay, so now that I've got it nice and closed and I've tightened it all up, I'm checking again and it feels really nice and smooth. So it's time to get it back into the truck and then we can swap out the electronics and give this thing a test. So let's just drop this back into here. Okay, so now it's time to put my drive shafts back in, and I always remove the whole front drive shaft, put this piece back, and then just put the other piece back in. And don't forget to keep it in phase. Okay, so now I'm quickly going to remove my electronics. I'll put my battery tray back, and I'll be right back when we're going to fit the electronics. Okay, so now that I've got the electronics out and I've got the battery tray back in, it's time to grab the electronics. Let's get them installed. Once again, it comes with a set of instructions, and I see it also comes with 2 extra cables. So as we can see, it's a really nice compact unit. It is about 1.5 centimeters wide by 1 centimeter high, and it is probably 2.5 centimeters long. It's not a big unit, and it definitely looks like it will be awesome to fit into these smaller rigs. You got your motor cable here, you have the cable that will go to your receiver, and we have got our battery cable. Okay, so let me get the electronics in, and I'm going to start by putting some double-sided tape at the bottom of this ESC so I can stick it down. I'm going to put this right in the corner here, and hopefully the receiver will go right next door to it. Okay, and for a receiver, I'm using one of the Dumborg specials. This is the Injora ones, but it's basically a 6-channel. So I'm just going to throw that in there, but let's first plug this in. So this will go port number 2. Okay, so port 1 is your servo. Okay, so now that we've got all that nice and neat and tidy in the back there, let's get the motor cable plugged in. Okay, so now that I've got the motor plugged in, it's time for me to tidy up my cabling. I also need to get my rock lights plugged in, so I'll see if I can get them to work on channel 3 or channel 4. Okay, so I got all the cabling tidied up. It's not perfect, but I'm still going to be messing around with this, and once the interior goes back in, you're never going to see any of it anyway. Now, I've plugged everything in. I've even plugged my lights in. Hopefully they should work directly from the channel. I should be able to turn them on and off. So, here comes the moment of truth. Let's turn on the controller. Now let's turn on the unit. Okay, as you heard 2 beeps, that means it's 2S. So let's try this out. Okay, that's really impressive, considering I haven't even tweaked the system yet. We haven't gone through with the programmer. Look at it. It's so smooth, so slow, and basically completely silent. I hear nothing. Okay, let's go back. Yeah, now you got really smooth control over that. Check that out. Now, let's just check one other thing that I always like checking on these kind of systems is drag brake. So, just gonna put the controller, it's standing still. Now, let's imagine we were on a hill and it's trying to go down the hill. Okay, it has drag brake, it holds back, but it's definitely not stopping the vehicle. Okay, so before I take it around the backyard course, let's grab the program card, let's get it plugged in, let's invert the rotation of the motor, and of course see if we can up the drag brake on it a bit, because it definitely needs a little bit more. So, let's just turn that off. Let's grab our program card, let's see exactly what we get in the box here with this. Okay, so you've got a couple of different table stickers that you can put on here, depending on what system you're going to program. But this one is the right one for what we are doing right now. So, now all you've got to do is put this in the back here. And as you can see over here, we've got this little port which has got a rubber boot in. Take that out. We're then going to take this unit and plug it in. Okay, now that we've got it plugged in, I am just going to plug a battery straight into here. Okay. Touch the button. As you can see, we have immediately lit up. Now you can tell over here, running mode, we are on item 1 and it is on function number 3, so forward reverse, which is exactly what you want. So now I'm just going to hit here, item number 2. Okay, cutoff voltage is on 3, so it's auto medium. I'm going to leave it just like that. Okay, so now that we are on item number 4, that is motor rotation, and I definitely want to change the value on that one, so I'm going to put it to 2 so it can rotate the other way. You then just hit OK to save it and move on. Okay, so now setting the BEC voltage, it's on 6 volts. I want to change it to 7.4 volts and just hit OK. Next, max brake force we're not going to be using because it's disabled. Okay, so now that we're on drag brake force, it's already set to maximum, so I'm just going to leave it right there. Don't need to change that. And that's it. I'm not going to mess with anything else, so it's as simple as that. Now all you've got to do is turn off the system. Now with this unit you also get this cable, and this you are going to plug into the top port where we just had that cable plugged in. And I'm going to plug it into port number 5. This means I can adjust my drag brake on the move, and I will be able to use this dial right here to take it off completely and set it however much I want on a downhill. So there it's 100%, the other way it's 0, and depending on what you want you can just rotate the knob. So definitely an awesome little setup. Just wanted to show you guys what to do with this cable if you also want to be able to play with your drag brake when you're out on the trail. Okay, so now let's get the battery in so we can test the motors going the right way, and once again just check this drag brake. Let's turn on the remote. Let's plug this in. Now let's just check it's going the right way. Indeed it is. Reverse is reverse. Definitely got plenty of speed and power to that servo. Now I'm just going to connect all my lights up, so I'm going to stick this light tab into port number 3. Let's get our body back on. Okay, so now I've got the lights plugged in. I've got everything plugged in. By using this switch, it should turn on my headlights. There you are. And if I put this one on, it turns on my rock lights underneath. So as you can see there by the wheels, you've got some rock lights, and that turns them off. That turns them back on, back off. And the headlights are on this switch right here. Now, the drag brake. As we can see, it's set to minimum. It's really easy to push it around. Now, let's just turn up that drag brake. Turn that switch all the way to maximum like I mentioned. And now, it's definitely got a lot more drag brake, but I can still see this thing running away slowly on a downhill. So, let me get out, let me go and test this thing on 2 and 3S. Let's see how it performs overall, and then we'll jump back in here and I'll give you my opinion about this awesome system. Okay, so I'm going to start off on 2S. We're going to hit some technical lines here on the mountain, and we're going to see how it behaves overall. And then, of course, I'll throw the 3S battery in. You can see it's got a really nice low down control. The modulation on this system is really awesome. I didn't expect anything less from Hobbywing anyway. Now let's see how the FOC system works up this section as well. Keeping my finger in one place. Yeah, okay, this system is really nice and smooth. Definitely can't complain about that. Okay, we're just going to hit this back line on the mountain here, which is nice and technical, and we're going to try and take that sharp corner up on top of the mountain. definitely got a really nice smooth throttle control. I can't complain about that at all. You can move your finger about and it's a nice smooth delivery of power. Now let's try and get up this really steep hill. Okay, so now that we're getting to the top of the hill, let's check the drag brake on this system. Let's see how it works. Okay, so I've got the drag brake on 50% on the knob. Let's see how it holds up on this downhill. Okay, stop there. Okay, as we can see, it keeps rolling. Let's reverse. Let's turn it up to about 75%. And as we can see, it still continues to roll at 75%. Okay, let's go back up. Okay, so now I've turned it to 100%. Let's see how it does. Okay, I'm just going to stop there. And as we can see, even at 100% drag brake, this system doesn't hold the rig back. This rig weighs about, I don't know, 1 kilogram. Yeah. Got a nice smooth control over the system, but it's definitely lacking on that drag brake. Let's just check the second section. So yeah, we go again. I've taken my finger right off and it's still traveling down the hill. It does stop, but it could definitely do with a little bit more drag brake. Okay, before I throw a 3S battery in here, let's just check the top speed on 2S. Okay, and as we can see, we do get a decent wheel speed. I can't complain about that. So now it's time to throw in the 3S battery and let's see how it performs on 3S. Okay, so now I've got the 3S battery in. Let's see how it does on a couple of lines, and of course we'll see how it does with the drag brake on downhills, if it improves with the 3S, and of course what kind of wheel speed do we get on 3S. Now I'm just going to keep it nice and slow. Let's see if that FOC system is working correctly. I'm not going to mess with it, just going to let it crawl as slow as possible. And as we can see, that FOC system is working really, really well. That FOC system, the delivery of the power is just so nice and smooth on this system. And another thing is, it is completely silent. I can't hear a noise from the system at all. Let's try and check the drag brake on downhills and see how that works. Okay, so let's test it down this hill on this side of the mountain. Let's see how the drag brakes works, see if it's any different on 3S. I don't believe it will be, but might as well check. Okay, so I've got it on 100% drag brake, and it does exactly the same thing as on 2S. As you can see, it's just rolling forward really slowly. So this system works really well overall, but it's definitely lacking a bit of drag brake. Let's just see over here where we get a bit of a better angle. As you can see, it stopped. So it's got decent drag brake. It's not going to let you run down the hill. As you can see, it does hold you back, but it would definitely be nice to see a little bit more drag brake available on this system. Now, let's quickly check the wheel speed and see how it performs on this 3S battery. Okay, so let's just check the wheel speed on 3S. And as we can see, that thing flies on 3S. More than enough wheel speed on 3S with this system. Okay, it's a bit difficult to get top speed here on my course, but it definitely has more than enough wheel speed. Okay, so let's just quickly check the temperatures of the motor and the electronics, just to make sure everything is at the right temperatures, nothing's overheating. The motor is completely cold, can't feel any heat on the motor, and the electronics themselves are not even lukewarm. So clearly this system performs extremely well on 2 and 3S. So my overall thought of this system is it's definitely worth it. The price tag isn't that high for the performance you get. It's got really nice modulation. Besides that, the FOC system works really well on those hill climbs. Even on the downhills, if you hold your finger in one place, it just creeps down the hill. So an amazing system overall. Definitely can't complain about it. The only thing I found was the lack of drag brake. But like I've already mentioned, it still holds you back enough for you to have control over the rig. So now that we've got this system installed, we will also be testing it against the new Roverin system from Injora, and I will also be installing the Mini16 Hobbywing Fusion system, so we can test that against this one and of course against the new Roverin system to see how it performs. So now the only thing I've got to say is, thanks for joining me on another video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. It really makes a difference. If you've got any doubts or any questions about the system, please just use the comment section. I try and reply as quick as I can. Sometimes it takes a day or two, but I always reply. So until the next video, happy trails everyone.